Roman Reigns just exposed his secret weapon, and Lance Anoa'i being CM Punk's attacker changes everything. The tribal chief just dropped the most shocking family bombshell in Bloodline history, and the revelation that Lance Anoa'i has been the mystery man systematically destroying CM Punk for months proves that Roman's willingness to expand his dynasty and weaponize every member of the legendary Anoa'i family knows absolutely no limits. Roman didn't just reveal another cousin joining the Bloodline. He exposed that the next generation of Samoan warriors has arrived with a vengeance, that Lance has been operating as Roman's personal assassin, specifically targeting Punk because of their family's long-term strategic planning, and that anyone who threatens the head of the table will face not just Roman but an entire bloodline of warriors bred for dominance. Before I break down every detail of this revelation and expose why Lance Anoa'i attacking CM Punk represents a blood feud that goes beyond wrestling into genuine family warfare, answer me this: did you have any idea that Lance Anoa'i was even signed to WWE, let alone operating as the mystery attacker? Or did this revelation completely shock you? Drop your honest reaction in the comments, because what Roman just unveiled about his family's newest weapon is either the most brilliant expansion of the Bloodline dynasty or proof that WWE is running out of fresh ideas and just recycling the same family-based storylines with different Anoa'i members. The Mystery Man storyline had consumed WWE programming for months, with CM Punk being victimized by brutal backstage attacks that left him hospitalized repeatedly and questioning whether his comeback was worth the physical punishment. Every assault followed a pattern suggesting the attacker had inside knowledge of Punk's schedule, vulnerabilities, and exact locations at specific times. The Mystery Man's fighting style showed elements of traditional Samoan wrestling combined with modern striking and an intensity that made every attack feel personal rather than just strategic. Analysts spent countless hours studying footage trying to identify body type, movement patterns, and any distinguishing characteristics, but the disguise remained effective and the identity remained completely hidden until Roman Reigns decided the time was right for his family's secret weapon to be revealed to the world on SmackDown. Roman's decision to reveal Lance came during a promo segment where the tribal chief was addressing his continued dominance and dismissing CM Punk as a legitimate threat to his championship reign. Roman stood in the center of the ring with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and other Bloodline members, exuding his typical confidence and control as he talked about how no challenger has been able to threaten his position because the Anoa'i family's power and strategic planning operates on levels that outsiders can't comprehend or counter. Then Roman's tone shifted, becoming more personal and more menacing as he transitioned into discussing CM Punk specifically and why the best in the world has suffered mysterious attacks that seemed to target him with particular hatred and precision. Quick question for you: when did you first suspect the mystery attacker might be connected to Roman Reigns? Comment below, because the clues were subtly planted throughout this storyline. Roman's explanation of why he specifically chose Lance Anoa'i for this role revealed layers of family planning and generational strategy that made the Bloodline feel even more formidable and organized. CM Punk thought he could come back to WWE and challenge me without consequences. He thought his name and his reputation meant he deserved opportunities that he hasn't earned under my reign. So I made a decision to teach him about respect, about hierarchy, and about what happens when you disrespect the tribal chief and the family that built this industry. I didn't just hire some random attacker. I brought in family. I brought in Lance Anoa'i, cousin, warrior, the next generation of our dynasty who's been training specifically to eliminate threats like Punk before they can become legitimate problems for the Bloodline's continued dominance. The music hit, and Lance Anoa'i walked out from backstage for the final time wearing the Mystery Man's signature hood. The figure walked with the confident swagger characteristic of the Anoa'i family, and even before the reveal, observant fans could recognize familial resemblance in movement and presence. When Lance reached the ring and stood before Roman Reigns, the tribal chief personally reached forward and pulled back the hood, revealing Lance's face to the WWE Universe in a moment that immediately established him as a major player through Roman's personal endorsement and introduction. Lance's physical presence was immediately impressive, standing well over 6 feet tall with the muscular build and intensity that defines successful members of his legendary family. His resemblance to other Anoa'i members was striking, but his unique look and obvious intensity suggested this wasn't just another generic family member but someone with his own identity and potential to become a significant star. Do you think Lance Anoa'i has the look and presence to become a main event player, or will he struggle to stand out among all the other Bloodline members? Share your first impression in the comments section. Lance Anoa'i's first words as the revealed Mystery Man were delivered with surprising eloquence and conviction, immediately establishing that he wasn't just muscle but someone capable of holding his own on the microphone. CM Punk. You've spent months wondering who was attacking you, who hated you enough to target you so relentlessly, who had the skills and opportunity to hurt you repeatedly without getting caught. Now you know. I'm Lance Anoa'i, and every attack I made on you was personal. You disrespected my cousin Roman, you disrespected my family, you came into WWE acting like you deserved things you hadn't earned. Roman gave me a mission: eliminate you as a threat before you could challenge for his championship. And I've been executing that mission perfectly, destroying you piece by piece, injury by injury, until you're either gone from WWE or so broken that you'll never be the same performer you were before I started hunting you. The family legacy aspect of Lance's introduction added enormous weight to his debut and immediately connected him to WWE's most dominant wrestling dynasty. Lance specifically referenced being part of the Anoa'i bloodline that includes The Rock, Roman Reigns, the Usos, Rikishi, Yokozuna, Umaga, and countless other legends who shaped professional wrestling history. The pride and responsibility of carrying that name came through in Lance's promo, with him making clear that attacking CM Punk wasn't just about following Roman's orders but about proving himself worthy of his family's legacy and showing that the next generation of Anoa'i warriors will be just as dominant as previous generations. The pressure of living up to such an accomplished family could be crushing for some performers, but Lance's confidence suggested he viewed it as motivation rather than burden. Can you name all the members of the Anoa'i family who've wrestled professionally? Let me know your count in the comments because this family tree is absolutely stacked with legends. CM Punk's response to learning his attacker was Lance Anoa'i came via a furious video message that showed Punk equal parts angry about the attacks and dismissive of Lance's credentials. Punk looked directly into the camera with barely controlled rage. Lance Anoa'i, another member of Roman's endless family that he trots out whenever he needs someone to do his dirty work. You attacked me from behind wearing a mask because you knew that face to face, you're not on my level and you never will be. Your whole identity is being Roman's cousin, being part of the Anoa'i family, living off a name that people way more talented than you built over decades. You think attacking me makes you special? You think following Roman's orders makes you a tough guy? All you've proven is that you're a coward who hides behind family connections because you don't have the talent or credibility to make it on your own. When we finally face each other officially in that ring, I'm going to expose you as just another overhyped legacy kid who thought his last name entitled him to respect he hasn't earned. Do you agree with Punk's assessment that Lance is just riding on family name, or do you think he's proven himself through his mystery man actions? Share your take in the comments. Paul Heyman's involvement in explaining the strategic brilliance of using Lance as the mystery attacker added the Wiseman's characteristic insight into why this was brilliant planning rather than just family nepotism. Heyman explained that Roman had been cultivating Lance's development for over a year, bringing him into the Bloodline's inner circle and training him specifically for high-profile assignments that required someone unknown enough to operate without recognition but talented enough to execute successfully. According to Heyman, the mystery man role was designed as Lance's proving ground, allowing him to demonstrate his capabilities through successful attacks on CM Punk before being officially introduced to the roster. The long-term planning Heyman described made the reveal feel more significant than a typical debut and suggested WWE has major plans for Lance going forward as a key bloodline enforcer. The Anoa'i family's expansion through Lance's introduction raises questions about how large the bloodline can grow before it becomes unwieldy or oversaturated. Roman already has Solo Sikoa, the Usos when they're aligned, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and various other family members who've been associated with the faction at different times. Adding Lance creates an even more crowded hierarchy where establishing clear roles and preventing members from getting lost in the shuffle becomes challenging. The smart booking would be to give Lance specific responsibilities and character traits that differentiate him from other bloodline members, whether that's being the youngest and hungriest, being the most violent and unhinged, or being Roman's personal problem solver who handles situations the tribal chief can't be directly connected to. What role do you think Lance should fill within the bloodline structure? Comment your suggestions below. The immediate implications for CM Punk are dire, with Lance's reveal meaning that Punk now faces an opponent who's been studying him for months, who knows his weaknesses intimately from inflicting injuries on them repeatedly, and who has the full backing of WWE's most powerful faction. The psychological advantage Lance gained through months of mystery attacks cannot be overstated. He knows Punk's vulnerabilities while Punk knows relatively little about Lance beyond his family name and his willingness to attack from behind. The eventual match between them will need to address this imbalance and either show Punk overcoming despite these disadvantages or show Lance capitalizing on his extensive preparation to defeat one of WWE's biggest stars in his official debut match. The fan reaction to Lance Anoa'i being revealed as the mystery man has been extremely mixed, with opinions sharply divided about whether this was a satisfying payoff or a disappointing choice that relies too heavily on family connections. Supporters argue that keeping the mystery attacker within the Anoa'i family makes narrative sense given Roman's involvement and that Lance's physical presence and performance justify his selection regardless of his family name. Critics contend that WWE is oversaturating their roster with Anoa'i family members and that choosing Lance represents lazy booking that defaults to bloodline connections rather than creating new stars from diverse backgrounds. The hashtag too many Anoas has been trending alongside hashtag welcome Lance, showing the deep division in fan response. What's your honest opinion? Is Lance's reveal exciting or are you tired of Anoa'i family members dominating WWE? Let me know in the comments section. The comparison to other wrestling families and dynasties shows that the Anoa'i family's current WWE dominance is historically unprecedented in terms of multiple members holding prominent positions simultaneously. The McMahon family has always been WWE's corporate dynasty, but they've rarely had multiple McMahons as active wrestlers at the same time. The Hart family produced many wrestlers but they were spread across different companies and generations rather than all featured together. The Guerrero family and other wrestling families have had similar patterns of distribution across time and space rather than concentration in one promotion at one time. The Anoa'i family's current situation, where Roman, Solo, Lance, and potentially other members are all featured prominently on WWE programming, creates unprecedented representation but also legitimate questions about whether one family should occupy so much of the roster spotlight. The long-term storytelling possibilities with Lance as a featured Bloodline member are extensive if WWE commits to his development rather than just using him as a temporary enforcer. Lance could be positioned as the heir apparent to Roman's position when the tribal chief eventually steps aside or loses the title. He could be the source of internal Bloodline conflict if his ambition or methods clash with Roman's leadership. He could be the family member who eventually turns babyface and opposes Roman if WWE wants to create a compelling Civil War storyline. Each possibility offers rich character development opportunities if WWE gives Lance the time and creative attention necessary to establish him as more than just another Bloodline member but as a distinct personality with his own motivations and arc. The training and background that Lance brings to WWE is reportedly impressive and suggests he's not just riding on family connections but has legitimate skills that justify his position. According to sources familiar with his pre-WWE career, Lance trained extensively in amateur wrestling, Samoan wrestling traditions, and modern sports entertainment presentation. He's worked independent promotions to gain experience and develop his style before being brought into WWE's developmental system. The combination of traditional family training methods with contemporary wrestling education has apparently created a well-rounded performer who can work multiple styles and adapt to different opponents and situations. Whether these reported skills translate to main roster success remains to be seen, but the foundation seems solid if WWE books him properly and gives him opportunities to showcase his abilities. So here's my final question, and I want brutally honest responses from all perspectives. Is Lance Anoa'i being revealed as Roman's mystery attacker a satisfying payoff that adds a dangerous new dimension to the Bloodline, or is it disappointing proof that WWE relies too heavily on the Anoa'i family and lacks creativity in building new stars outside of dynasty connections? And regardless of how you feel about the reveal itself, what should happen next? Should Lance face CM Punk one-on-one to prove himself, or should this build toward a larger Bloodline versus anti-Bloodline faction war? Get in those comments right now and share your perspective, because Lance Anoa'i's WWE journey is just beginning, and whether he becomes the next great Anoa'i warrior or gets lost among the crowded Bloodline roster depends on both his performance and WWE's commitment to developing him as more than just another family member trading on a legendary name.